What's going on? This is Ryan with Automatic Comics, and up next we are going to talk about 5 key comics that are currently trending down. Alright, so before we get started, please remember to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. This is a series of videos I started, I don't know, maybe about a month ago or so, where because I'm looking at that weekly Heritage comic auction, hundreds of books, hundreds of keys every week, when I'm pricing those out, I often see certain books that are currently trending down. I see some books that are trending up. Like I've mentioned in the prior videos, there's a lot more that are in that trending down or kind of like level state right now than trending up. So these videos are a little easier to come by, but I've got some pretty big books here, some spec books, that kind of thing that have been trending down recently. I've got 5 of them, and some of them are a couple of my favorite books out there, so definitely something that I'll probably be watching. So I'll be talking about that a bit with this as well. And I've put them in order from the one that's trending down the least right now to the one that has moved the most. Alright, so the first one on the list is Detective Comics number 359. Big Silver Age Batman key. This is the first appearance of Barbara Gordon as Batgirl. Now, this is one of my favorite Batman Silver Age books, and it is sad for me to see it coming down because I have a few copies of this, and I do have them listed for sale right now, so it's just something to, I like to always put that out there if I do for any of these books that I'm talking about. And so this one, you can see I've got the chart up there for the 5.0. It has been trending down for a while. You might say that, oh, it's because of the recent announcement that they canceled the Batgirl movie, but that's really not the case here. This book had been trending down already before that. Cancellation of the Batgirl movie did not help things, though, and that has definitely caused a push down in prices even a little more recently. But I have 3 grades on here. I've got the high price, the current price, and the price difference from that high to where it is right now. One thing to always remember when you've got these high prices is that sometimes it was a spike that was outside what everything else was selling at, so you take that with a little bit of a grain of salt, and that's why I like to put the chart up there as well, which I get this data from GPA. I like to put the chart up there as well because then you can actually see that downtrending line with the sales of this book. So the first one here is an 8.0. It had a high sale of $4,000. Its current price around $3,200, down about 20%. Higher grades tend to be a little more insulated from moves. That's just something I've noticed when you've got these high grade Silver Age books. They don't tend to take a hit as much as the lower grades just because they're a little less common. I think they don't always get hurt as bad. Not always the case, but it's just something I've generally noticed. Then we've got the 5.0, high sale at $1,600, current price $1,000, down 38%. And then the 3.0, lower grade copy, high sale at $800, current price $610, down 24%. So you can see that mid-grade range has really been taking a hit. It's actually something I've noticed in the 5 to 6 range. They've been coming down a lot more than any of the others. I don't know if they just happened to spike a lot more, caught those high sales because those are grades that are a little more common, maybe they sell more often, or what really caused that. But across the board, down anywhere from 20 to about 35, and you can see on here 38%. So would I be buying this book right now? I think this is a great DC Silver Age key. Do I think that eventually they might bring Batgirl back? They might actually do another movie? Possibly. But I wouldn't really be buying this book on spec right now. This is a time where you'll definitely want to watch because this is where you could see overcorrections. Because, like I said, this is a big Silver Age key. This is a very in-demand book for Batman collectors, for DC collectors. And so when we had that cancellation of that movie, I think a lot of people just threw their books on eBay, threw their books up for sale. And so you'll see a big volume of them and you'll have an overcorrection on the downside. Then I think things will level back up again. So I do think it's possible as people are working through that inventory that's out there right now that we could see the prices come down some more. It's definitely a book if you're interested in. You can see it's come down quite a bit. It's become a little more affordable, but I could see this one going down more. All right, now the second one on the list, one of my favorite characters from my childhood. This is Silver Surfer number 1. This is the origin of the Silver Surfer. It is a great cover. Not as great as issue 4. Issue 4 is one of the best out there, in my opinion, but also a great cover. And this one has been taking a hit, like all other Silver Surfer Galactus related keys. I think it's really just because we don't know when we're getting those characters. We don't know when we're ultimately going to have those characters show up. And so, yeah, we think they're going to be coming, but it could be 5 years from now, 10 years from now. There's no real way to know. And so there's a lot of time for these books to kind of cool off from that heat that they got last year when everything was spiking. So you can see the trend down on this one is a little stronger. It doesn't look as steep as on the Batgirl one, but the actual percentages are more. So the chart that I have up there is for the 8.0. You can see it is gradually trending down. It's a little deceptive because of the scaling on it. You don't quite see the trend down as clearly, but you can see it in the prices. So we've got the 8.0, which hit a peak sale of $4,560 with a current price of $3,000, down 34%. Then we've got the 6.0, which hit a peak of $1,796, now selling for $1,250, down 30%. And lastly, we have the 3.5, which hit a high sale of $850, now selling for about $550, down 35%. So another book that is trending down across all grades, across the board. You can see that it is still way up from where it was prior to the comic boom. This book was much more affordable. I remember having, I think it was like a 7.0 or 7.5 or something like that, and it was under $1,000 just a couple years ago. So I mean, it is a book that is still up a ton from where it was. What that means, I think, if we don't get any type of announcement with Silver Surfer or with Galactus, you could see this book continue to trend down. It is a popular character. This is an especially hard book to get in higher grades, so you might have a little protection at the higher grades, but I would be cautious as well with this one. Now, like any of these books that I talk about, all bets are off when you get some type of announcement, when you have characters that are going to be in the MCU, all that kind of thing. But one thing I've talked about a lot with this, and some people have noticed, is that with these books that have spiked a lot, even if you get an announcement, they aren't moving that much right now. And part of that is because they're already up so much. And so they can only go up so much more. And so, yeah, you might see little jumps, that kind of thing, but I don't expect any huge spikes with books like this that are already really expensive, already still way up from the comic boom. So again, a book that I would be watching, but I would not necessarily be rushing into right now. Again, all bets are off if there is some announcement about Silver Surfer or Galactus. Right, now the next book. This one hurts me because I do have a couple copies of this one as well, and they are definitely down from where I picked those up. Now this is Star Wars number 42, the first comic book appearance of Boba Fett. Now I know he did appear in that larger magazine format book. It was Marvel Super Special 16, something like that. I think I got that right. But this is the first time he's in comics. This is the bigger book. This is what most people want when they're thinking of Boba Fett. And you can see I've got the 9.8 chart up there. This book is going way down. It is almost back to some prices that it was at pre-comic boom. Not quite yet, but it's getting there. So the 9.8 hit a peak sale of $4,990. Now I will caveat this is for the direct edition. It's possible that was for a newsstand. The GPA didn't start splitting out newsstands until a certain point in time, and so it's hard to tell for sure if that was a newsstand or direct. But I'm going to say it was under their direct, so I'm going to call it the direct. High sale $4,990. Current price $1,500 with a recent sale, and I checked, and that is legit. It is a legit sale of $1,150 for a 9.8. That just seems like a total steal to me, but we'll see. I mean, this book is definitely trending down. That is down 70% for what I have as the current price and 77% for that recent low sale. Then we've got the 9.0, which had a high sale of $735, current price of $340, down 54%. And then the 7.5 with a high sale of $389, current price $195, down 50%. This book is down quite a bit. It is just continues to trend down, and I don't know exactly what's going to break that downtrend or if it will just go all the way back down to where it was before. I mean, Star Wars is extremely popular, Boba Fett is extremely popular, but that show, the Boba Fett show, didn't do itself any favors. I feel like it was the same thing that happened with Obi-Wan. The start was a little too slow, and even though the end was solid, the start was slow enough that it really hurt the show, and I think you got people turned off on it before they really got to the end and when it got more exciting. And so for me, it took me a long time before I even finished it. I didn't watch the last couple episodes until pretty recently. And yeah, I enjoyed the last couple episodes, but the first few, they just didn't really do it for me. And it was the same with Obi-Wan. I loved the last couple episodes of Obi-Wan, but I couldn't stand the first 3, I think it was. So that's, I think, what this really suffered from. It's possible when we get our next season of The Mandalorian, which is what really was driving up the prices of this earlier, the speculation on the Mandalorians, that I think that could end up breaking this downtrend, but definitely one that you should be watching. It's down a lot. I mean, being down 70%, 50%, one that if you're looking to pick it up, put it on your radar, and if you find the right auction, like that auction for a 9.8 of 1,150, that seems like a steal to me. It really seems like a steal to me. So that's the type of thing that you want to be looking for if you're looking to pick this book up. All right, now the next one. This is number 4 on this list. Oof, they're getting worse and worse. This is Strange Tales, number 169. This is the first appearance of Brother Voodoo, and this is what happens when speculation does not hit. So everybody was saying Brother Voodoo's going to be in the next Doctor Strange movie, and he did not show up. He wasn't there. There are rumors that he was in it, and they cut the scenes. I don't know why they decided to do that, if it was just bad luck, didn't fit with it, too long, whatever it is, but that has had a massive impact on the value of this book. This book is taking crushing hits across all grades. It still is up from where it was before, so always with that caveat, and you can see it on the chart, it is up from where it was before. And honestly, this book was relatively worthless prior to the speculation that Brother Voodoo was going to be in the Doctor Strange movie. I mean, that's the 6.5 grade that I have up there, and I remember watching ETA Nick's channel a couple years ago, pre-Comic Boom, and he had gotten a copy, he pressed it and graded it and all that kind of thing, sold it on Comic Link, and it was like a 9.0 or a 9.2, and he sold it for, I think, maybe $550 or $600. 9.2 here is at over 1,000, and it was at over 2,000. And so just kind of to get a real good concept of where these books were and where they are now. And that was already when people were speculating on Brother Voodoo. And so now there's no real guarantee that we're going to get that character. I know some people are talking about that he's going to show up in Strange Academy, because I'm not familiar with that storyline, but I guess he's the headmaster or whatever you might want to call it for the Strange Academy universe, and so you could have him there. But I think what we've learned as well is that if it's something that ends up being made for a kid's show, that is not something you want to speculate on. That is not going to drive up the values of these books. If it's for something that's geared more towards children, it's really the more kind of like adult themed stuff, or for movies, that kind of thing, that's where you can actually have some impact. But when it's designed for children, really not going to have an impact on the price. So I would be cautious with this book. So with the grades, the prices, everything, we've got the 9.2, which peaked at $2,160. Current price $1,050, down 51%. The 8.0, which peaked at $1,000, currently selling for $450, down 55%. And the 6.5, which peaked at $645, now selling for $350, down 53%. So again, this is what can happen if you are speculating on something and that spec doesn't hit. And the lesson, generally, what is talked about with that, it's the same thing if you're investing in something like stocks. If you have some type of event that you are expecting something to happen for, and you bought that book just for flipping, if you were only buying that book for flipping, not for something you wanted to just keep, if that event doesn't happen, you sell. Because if you don't, you're going to miss it, and it's just going to keep going down, and then you're just holding it and hoping. Don't worry about taking the loss on it if that's how you were treating this book, because I imagine a lot of people were buying this book to spec on it, and so when that event didn't happen, they should have been selling them. And I think a lot of people might be kind of bag holding with this one right now. So just something to learn or remember or know when you're dealing with a book that is just pure speculation. All right, now the last book, and very relevant for what's going on right now. This is Savage She-Hulk #1, the first appearance of She-Hulk. This book also taking a huge hit. Basically, when that trailer came out, honestly, you probably should have sold books. It looks like it could be a fun show, but it just doesn't look like it's going to be a show that's going to be like driving up values in She-Hulk. I just don't really see it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it will start to go up. Maybe the show gets really well received. I mean, I hope it is. I always want these shows to be great. I am never cheering against these shows. I always want them to be great. But we all saw that CGI didn't seem too great. So hopefully they're improving it as we're getting up to the show. So we'll see how it all turns out. But 9/8 peaked at $2,087, currently selling for $690, down 67%. That is way down. You can see it in that chart up there for the 9/8. This book has been trending down significantly. Then you've got the 9/0 high sale of $405, currently going for $200, down 51%. And lastly, the 8/0, which peaked at $406, now selling for $140, down 66%. This book has just been taking a beating, and that's really all there is to it. I do think it's probably a reasonable book to buy as it just keeps going down. I think it's probably getting down around to where that bottom might be, where it's going to turn around, but I don't know if this is one that I really want to mess with right now. It's some of these, when I see these books coming down, it's a time that I really think it's time to start going after those books, looking for that, but I could see this one keep going down a little bit more. I'm just not real confident in it. I'd like to see at least 1 or 2 episodes of the show and see how well received it is, see how well it's done, see how this ties into the overall Marvel universe as a whole before I really make a decision on if this is a book that I would want to be purchasing. All right, so those are the 5 books. You can see we've got some keys, some spec in there, all kinds of stuff, but all of them trending down right now. There are a couple that I would definitely recommend keeping an eye on. Tech 359 is one of them, because to me, out of this list, you could argue maybe Silver Surfer 1, but I think Tech 359 is the biggest overall key, and that there's a lot of demand for it. And so if it overcorrects to the downside, I think it is a great time to pick up that book. Silver Surfer 1, I'm just a little nervous about it, that we may not get any news for a long time, so it could keep going down. And then Star Wars 42, I always think Star Wars is a good property to invest in. I love the Star Wars franchise. Boba Fett is an awesome character, even if I was kind of like meh on how they did the show. But that's one that's been coming down so much. It's come down so hard after the, what I would call a disappointing reception of that show, that I think it's probably getting down to where it's reasonable to pick up again. So definitely those 2 I'd be really putting on the watch list, Star Wars 42 and Tech 359. Be cautious about the rest of them. So, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. We've got more videos over here if you'd like to watch some of my other videos, and the subscription button right here. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, I'd really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video.